21st of March 2024. This is a loose cannon. Cannot be anything else. And I'm going to pull the shots and throw it out. Lots of questions that we need to ask ourselves. And I'm not going to give for one moment the impression that I've got the answers, but I have the questions. I see this comments on my videos of people that are supporting the Israelis in Gaza. And I have to ask myself the question, these are South Africans, and they say that the people in Gaza deserves what's happening to them because of what Hamas did. Now I can go into a long discussion about that, but I'm not going to do it. I've got a simple answer for them. Those South Africans that are saying the Israelis is right in doing to Gaza what they're doing. For you guys, I've got this. From that support that you are giving Israel, I have to make the deduction that you are also happy that the farmers are being murdered on the farms in South Africa because the ANC is shit. Because that is what you are saying. You are saying the Israelis is right in killing all those innocent women and children because Hamas is shit. So, you are in favor of the killing of the farmers in South Africa because the ANC is shit. How fucking stupid are you? And then there's a guy that made a statement that reckons that my elevator don't reach my brain. I just have to laugh about that. And then I get to the next one. South Africa is in chaos because gangsters has already been able to take control over large portions of our society. The police is infected, Home Affairs is infected, the banks are infected, everywhere. The health services are infected, everywhere. Gangs are showing their faces boldly lately. And I have to wonder, do the people realize that this collapse of law and order in South Africa is actually systemic, and all of it can be laid at the steps of politicians? Doesn't matter which party, because they all were part and parcel of the destruction of South Africa for their own benefit. Now the ANC, you must understand one thing. If you look at the polls over the past 2 weeks, the ANC's popularity is dropping like a rock. It is now at a point where I'm comfortable to say that the ANC is not going to win a majority in the election. The reality is that they know it. They know it. You must understand they've been in power for 30 years. You must try and imagine the nests of luxury that they have built for themselves around the taxpayers' monies. You must think about that. And then you must also keep in mind, those guys are now looking the reality in the face that they're going to lose everything. And let me guarantee you this, a hell of a lot of them isn't going to take that loss without a fight. The problem is, they have state machinery at their disposal to fight us, the citizens. And they are going to do it, and they're already doing it. So you better understand one thing. The ANC is not going to relinquish power willingly, or democratically, if you want to call it like that. The fact of the matter is, we have a very good chance of chaos and violence breaking out all over the country. We have this reality, and that is the Cape Sea route. And you must understand, the West depends a lot on this Cape Sea route. But on the other side, BRICS, I'm going to call them BRICS, that's the rest of the world, also depends a lot on this Cape Sea route. We see now what the Houthis is doing to the Suez Canal. So you must understand that that Cape Sea route will be a vital thing It is a vital thing. Then there are people that are saying that the Triple X cabal with their puppets, the DA, is going to pull South Africa out of BRICS. Now that will be suicide for South Africa, because the West is done. The West is done. The West is bankrupt, plus the Western societies will pretty soon, I'm not going to put a timeline on it, but I'm just going to say pretty soon, Western societies, traditional Western societies, is going to have to fight for survival, because the Triple X soldiers has been deployed very successfully into Europe, England, Canada, and America. Very successfully. Those societies are now, in large parts, totally overrun by immigrants. Not white immigrants. So that white Westerners are going to be in the same situation that us, the white people in South Africa. They are going to have to fight for their survival. The problem for them is they don't know how to fight, because roughly 100 years of non-violent societies has made them soft. I have seen so many videos of how black immigrants is brutalizing European white citizens, and those citizens are cowering and running away or just falling down and allowing them to be kicked and punched and whatever. But there is sections, portions in those societies that will fight back, and that is already fighting back. I have no doubt that if the Western tribes wake up, they will survive. Why? Because they are just the superior fighters. It's been proven over ages. The thing is this, they have to develop the will to fight, and they must show their willingness to fight. Up to the day that they do not stand up and fight back, they will be slowly but surely butchered. Exactly what is being done to South African white people, especially the farmers. So there is an issue there. It's a survival issue. And then we have these people that they are 100% committed and happy with their life, saying God will provide, God will protect them. I've got news for them. Go and read your Bible. God tells the people to fight. There's no such thing that you can sit and pray and do nothing, and the evil Satanists will just evaporate. Men of God will have to take up their swords and take the fight to the Satanists. That's the realities. In South Africa, we have got a major problem, and that is that the white people here has got this, most of them has got this idea that it will be them against all the blacks. Now, I've got news for you, and it's good news. There's a lot of black people that feel exactly the same as you. The reality is they are a majority. And I've listened to Zuma speaking at that Louis Liebenberg gathering, and he said, people do not understand the levels of friction in the black societies. And I have always been of the opinion that the black on black violence is what is really going to be serious. But let's look back at South Africa. Let's just look at facts. There's a reality that people need to face. South Africa is running out of water. And they're running out of water at a hell of a speed. You must ask yourself, how is society going to cope with that? With the electricity shit, we put solar panels up and so, and then we have some form of relief from what Eskom is doing to us. But if you don't have water, all that solar is going to mean nothing. If there's not water, you're dead in 3 days. So people need to face these realities. And we're looking here at the political parties making all their promises and telling us all their shit and so forth. But the reality is, if you look at the major players on the political stage, there's not a single party there that actually represents decent people. All of them represents Triple X and their mission. And we can see the friction is getting bigger and bigger and bigger. And the tensions are bigger and bigger and bigger. So you have to understand that we are sitting on a ticking time bomb. And it's going to blow. The question is, where are you going to be when that thing blows? Then there's these people that are promoting that you as a white person must just abandon everything you have, pack your car and pack your Venter trailer and move to some place there in the Northern Cape. And how are you going to live? How are you going to survive? I don't see how. It's not practical. Jacob Zuma himself said that his biggest problem with the Afrikaner, and you must understand, he does not distinguish between Afrikaners and Boere. If he talks about Afrikaners, he's talking about the whites. And he says his problem is, he knows that they are entitled to land, to an area of their own, but they are scattered from the Limpopo right down to the Cape. There's no single area where they are a clear majority. It is not there. So there's practical issues, and I've said it many times. If you are looking at a political solution for South Africa and you do not take cognizance of the realities of demographics, your plan is going to fail. But I'm seeing more and more and more black commentators that are beginning to understand that the solution is in independent regions, and in all those regions, cantons. The unitary state has failed, and it is now in a situation that you cannot rebuild it because the instruments that made the unitary state function has been destroyed. So you have to face the reality that the unitary state is done. Now many guys are saying, yeah, but we're going to fix this and that, and they're talking about timelines and so forth. The fact of the matter is, this government system and structure that we have is bankrupt. Now let's get back to the sea route. It is important for BRICS and for the West. Nobody can deny that. The West is feeling fairly comfortable with the Cape being under control of the DA, and by that they feel that their interests is protected and safe. But BRICS has got a problem. They don't feel safe. Now there's rumors going around that South Africa will be pulled out of BRICS, but I've always said South Africa never joined BRICS. Russia and China pulled South Africa into BRICS, and it happened under Zuma, which is anti-West, which is anti-Triple X. So the inclusion of South Africa in BRICS was machined and manipulated, not because South Africa can contribute to BRICS. South Africa has got the due position on the sea route. And that's important. Now look back at what happened when that Navy exercises were here between China, Russia and South Africa. Those fleet exercises was focused on the KwaZulu area in the sea off the KwaZulu coast. They didn't go to the Cape or something like that. Why? Because I believe they were scouting the facilities on the Zululand coast. Now, I have said it is my opinion that the main task of MK is to get the ANC out of KwaZulu-Natal. Why? There has now been other commentators that has lately now mentioned the fact that there was a deal between Zuma, Russia and Ramaphosa was pulled in and told to keep his hands off Zuma. Why? I believe that the intention is to UDI Natal. But then yesterday I listened to some commentators and I read some documents about the high level of support that MK has here in my part of the world, here in the Lowveld and up to around about Middelburg and towards Lydenburg, Orestad, that area. Now, incidentally, that area that I'm talking about is the same land that the Swazi king has put in under a land claim. Why? Because the Swazi king is of the opinion that they made a deal with the Boere for that land, and now the ANC wants to steal it, and so they want them back. So MK, and I was surprised when I saw the polls to show the high levels of support that MK has in this area. So I have a funny feeling that if Zuma declares UDI on Natal, he's going to pull this area with him. And I don't think the citizens will resist it. The majority is going to go with that. So that will mean that, let's call it the Natal Republic, is going to include a large portion of Mpumalanga. For the Boere, what is relevant for the Boere? You must understand, if that happens, you have this area around Mbombela up to around about to Middelburg, and then to Orestad, Lydenburg, that area, which was previously Boer Republic. And then you've got in Natal, the area around Vryheid, Newcastle, Utrecht, down towards Durban, that was Boer Republic. And you've got the area on the northern side of the KwaZulu, that band between Swaziland and Natal, up to Richards Bay, which was Boerland. Why was those areas there? Because the kings of the Zulus and the Swazis, they did those deals to create a buffer zone between the Zulus and the Swazis. That was the main reason for all of that. So it will mean that a large part of South Africa that was previously undeniably Boerland will be in this new Natal Republic. What does that mean? Well, the only thing that I want to say today is that Zuma is a known culturist. And he has said they cannot deny the treaties between the Boere and the Zulus, because their kings signed it. The documents are there, the maps are there. Nobody can deny that. So what can you deduct from that? The only thing that I'm willing to deduct from that now is that he does not deny the reality of that Boerland. And it is my personal opinion that the Boere will be better off in a Republic of Natal than they are in the Republic of South Africa. Because in the Republic of South Africa, they have to deal with a fucking idiot like this Malema. Now, I've got a question about Malema's supporters. They're sitting there in the stadiums, screaming and shouting and so forth. What they should ask themselves actually is, of all those thousands sitting in that stadium, how many of those people there must actually have a job? In other words, is employed and has a future. How many of them has been able to start up their own businesses and build it into something that contributes to the community, society, and South Africa? How many of them? They have to ask themselves that. Because if you look at it objectively, you will find the bulk of them depends on a SASSA grant to live. That's not a good foundation for your life, because this government is bankrupt. So, on this morning, I just want to say this. South Africa is in a very dangerous situation. And if Natal goes independent, I'm convinced of it, within days, there will be a strong Russian presence in Natal. And most probably supported by the Chinese. Military presence. Why would that be? That would be to protect the Cape Sea route. And I have spoken to guys that say that from the information that they get, the Americans are busy working on a plan to grab the Cape, to get full control over the Cape. And you must understand, they are going to interfere in the election because they're not happy with the ANC. Because they see the ANC as pro-Russia, which is not totally correct in my opinion, because there's a large block in the ANC that are so in debt to the West that they can't make a move. But if they secure a foothold in Natal, they are in a position to fight off the West because they've got a presence here. Now, the West is going to interfere in this election. They want the ANC out. But they're staying with a problem. The DA has got a white leader, which will mean if the DA takes control, there's going to be a white president. And the liberals and neocons in America will not be very popular if they tumble a black government and put a white government in place. That kite is not going to fly for them in America. And here comes something, another loose cannon shot that you must think about. I want you to think about Mmusi Maimane. And then you must take into consideration, Mmusi Maimane is married to a Rothschild woman. Let that sink in. I personally believe Maimane has been placed on the shelf to be used later. So if the Americans can manage to arrange, let's call it arrange, a regime change in South Africa, they're going to bring Maimane back into the DA to be the stooge president. Why Maimane? Well, they've got him by the balls with that Rothschild woman. So it's just logical. My question is Steenhuisen going to accept that? I'm quite sure Zille and those, they will support it. What about Steenhuisen? I don't know. I actually don't give a fuck. He's a zero on a contract as far as I'm concerned. So we, the decent people of South Africa, need to be aware of these possibilities. And you need to start and prepare yourself for it. And it is going to be vital that communities organize themselves for the day the shit's going to hit the fan. Communities, tribes, they'll have to think about it. Because if they are not going to have a communal plan of survival action, they're not going to make it. I feel extremely sorry for the people in the cities because it's going to be hell. But do not ignore the reality, the danger, and the basically fatal role of this water problem. This water problem is very serious. The cock is, you can't fix that problem suddenly. You cannot throw a solar panel on your roof and put an inverter and a battery in and you're okay. You can't solve water problems like that. Let that sink in. Please give me a like and subscribe and share the thing. Thank you for your support.